Welcome back to the Grace Begins podcast. As you know, you've been listening in. This is a podcast about where people share their journey and their story of where they found God and His grace in their lives. And we've invited so many great guests to come here and tell us their stories. And we hope that they inspire you like they're inspiring us to be reminded to find God's grace in your life too. And we're excited for our guests this week, and we'll let Catherine introduce.
Yes, we have Whitney Miller. I met Whitney last year, actually, at an event and got to eat her delicious cookies. She was the first winner of MasterChef, and she was only 22 years old when she won. So it was a big deal. And she's just a beautiful, joyful, wonderful person with some amazing things to share. So thank you, Whitney, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I enjoy just sharing the love that I have and the passion for cooking, but also like where it comes from.
Yes.
We thought having you was the treat, but then she actually brought us cookies. So we get like double the treat. Yeah, we're excited.
I know. What flavors do we have to look forward to?
Yes.
From now on, everyone needs to bring us treats if they come on the show.
Exactly. That's the condition.
You set the standard. Yeah.
Yes, just a little teaser.
yeah.
We
There
have
goes
chocolate
lunch.
chip,
Yeah.
brownie cookie, our stuffed chocolate chip that has a brownie cookie dough in the center.
What?
It's super popular. Actually, it's one of the most popular. And then if you are a peanut butter fan, it's our salted peanut butter cup that has Reese's cups in it.
Oh my gosh.
Those two
Jeez.
those are the
goodness.
best.
This wasn't the week to start a diet.
Yeah, right. There goes the New Year's resolution right out the door in 1 hour. Yeah.
So tell us how did you kind of discover your love of cooking, and how did you what was your childhood did it look like? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So I love sharing, like, I grew up in just surrounded by a lot of women that cooked in my family. And then they wanted to share that, like, love, and food really was the center of it. So anytime that my family gathered, it seemed to be at a table or around a kitchen. And my great-grandmother had a big impact on my life. And when she was probably 85, and I was probably old enough to really remember, like at 5, being in the kitchen with her. And I think how much of a treasure that was, that I was able to have my great-grandmother make such an impact on my life. And she lived till she was 97. I had her in my life till I was 23. So she saw my MasterChef journey. She saw me write my first cookbook. But being in the kitchen with her, she just had such a love for cooking. And also one thing that really just resonated, and something I wanted to also do, was I would watch at her table as everyone enjoyed her food. Like, she made these awesome fluffy homemade biscuits, and she made seafood gumbo, and she'd make this like incredible roast with all these like fresh vegetable sides. And I'd watch the faces of everyone, and it was just this joy that came across their face. And I just remember like, oh, like, I want to do that. Like, and of course, she was an amazing Christian woman. And so Sunday lunches after church was a huge thing. And if you were visiting, you might as well just know you're going to come over to her house for Sunday lunch, because she was going to invite you. But doing that, like wanting to do that, like wanting to mimic what she did in the kitchen, the love that she put in the food, but also how it made people feel, was something that just really resonated me at a young age. And then it fueled that like passion at really, I know 3 years old, I was in the kitchen, my mom said, but like, old enough to really start doing things on your own was really when it just like hit me. And I wanted to do that.
It sounds like you were really surrounded by like people with a servant's heart, or like hospitality, and and like wanting to give back through food, which is beautiful, and bringing people together. I love that.
I love that too. Yeah, I think there's love in a meal. I don't think people realize that. We were talking earlier about my mom, and always home cooked meals. There was no really fast foods or eating out, and it was like every Sunday there would just be a roast. She would throw it in the oven during church. We'd come home and eat it. And it's just like, there's love in it. There's really love in that. And I think you grow to appreciate that as you get older too, and appreciate that someone took that time to do something really nice for you. And, whether it's someone giving you flowers or making you a nice meal, it's a big deal. So I think there's love in that for sure.
Absolutely.
Being able to just kind of slow down too. Like I just treasured the Sunday lunches because now as a mom of 3 kids, to think through like, do I have it in me to like put a meal together for like, I mean, you have to plan, either you're going to have to do something on Saturday or you're going to have to wake up early on Sunday, earlier than just getting out the door to get to, church on time.
Yes.
So,
Yes, we have a tradition in my family for Thanksgiving because when I'm from Australia, when I moved here, my friend just embraced me and her family, and it was very much like what you're saying. It was like this love and joy of bringing people together. And I, when we used to go to family and stuff in the beginning of our marriage, but all of a sudden when family members moved or passed away, we were like, we could be that place for people. So we opened our home to whoever didn't have a place to go, So we've had as many as 30 people and as little as just the 4 of us. And it's like when it's just the 4 of us, I feel like, I just feel like a little empty. Like, I'm missing like that joy of like taking, like it's such a gift to be able to bring people together and love on them like that. And I'm certainly not a chef, but my husband's a good cook. But the whole meaning behind that, I love that.
Yes,
I love that. So, how do you feel like God paved the way for you to end up on MasterChef? How did that process happen?
So, being that like having a like taste of like wanting to make people happy through food is what really started the thought process of like, like I want to do this. And then when I was 10 years old, I heard a sermon about like using your gifts to serve others and your spiritual gifts. And the Lord spoke to me then that said cooking was my spiritual gift. And I didn't really understand it at the time and how I was really going to use that. And then at 12 years old, I wanted to be a pastry chef and I started just doing everything. So since 12 years old, I just started getting in the kitchen and teaching myself. Well, I had that passion to be a chef early on, but as I got, older, I played tennis and had opportunity to be on a collegiate team, having school paid for. So I thought, well, both my parents are teachers. It's going to be expensive to go to culinary school. I need to do something that kind of makes more sense and go to school and get my school paid for.
Yes.
So then I kind of shift directions and I was including food somewhat into where I wanted to do, but added nutrition in it and I was going to be a dietitian. So I went to school to do that. I was in my senior year and I was like, okay, Lord, this is not what I want to do. Like my heart is telling me I want to be a chef. And I've kind of deviated from that. And so he was directing my path back at the last minute. To me, I'm thinking it's last minute. To him, it was always his plan. And I found out about MasterChef and they had auditions in New Orleans. It was close to where I lived. And I thought, I could like do this and this could be my stepping stone to get to where I really want to be. It wasn't to be on TV. It was, I wanted to be a chef and this could be the door to open me an opportunity to do that. So that's where MasterChef came about. I was 22 years old, senior in college. I had to secretly, tell the university I'm stepping away for, a couple months and I'm going to go film for this show and then I'll come back and then I'll finish.
You never went back?
I finished, yes. But I never really thought like, oh, wow, like how everything was going to change.
Right.
Because just in my mind, it was just the goal of like, I wanted to be a chef. But the Lord just completely just wrote a beautiful story and continues to do that I could have never dreamed of. And so I would encourage someone like, if you have a dream, like not to us, like we just, I think, give ourselves just a little like slice of that.
Yeah.
And we sometimes don't allow ourselves to really dream as big as like what the Lord can do.
Yeah.
And so never put God as in like something so small, like, because he can do something incredible and beautiful and big. And I even laugh about the idea of how I met my husband, because after I started traveling and doing a bunch of events, cooking events tend to be a lot of women involved. And so, I told my mom, was like, I'm never going to meet anybody. I was like, it's always women, Mom. And I was like, and would you know it, the Lord has a sense of humor. And it was at this event where mostly it was women and not as many people my age. And my husband's mom was the photographer, had him come to the event, and I met him at the event.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
It was all in his
So
plan.
he's not in the cooking world at all,
No,
the culinary world.
But you
No.
still met him in
He just
that
loves
area.
good food.
That's amazing. Absolutely
God
amazing.
he orchestrates. I think it was interesting when you were saying like he has a bigger picture. We put God in a box, and he sees, like, I was talking to my daughter just about that the other day, of like, sometimes we're disappointed when we hear a no, and yet he sees the end of the road, and oftentimes, you know, that no actually leads to a much bigger yes than you could have ever dreamed of.
Yes,
and
for
you
sure.
you were just you walked in obedience, though. You listened to where he was guiding you. You didn't feel something in your soul didn't feel right about where you were, and he shifted you and brought you this amazing opportunity.
Yes, for sure.
And look at what it's done in your life. It's amazing. So much bigger than you imagined.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, I grew up in a very small town in South Mississippi. And so I also, encourage people, like, it doesn't matter where you came from, like backgrounds, anything, like the Lord can utilize you and where you are. So sometimes if you are in even a season, you can't see yourself outside of that season. For me, I was a shy girl in high school. The Lord started in that first 2 years of college when I, took my first speech class. He was working in me, and I didn't know it then, but he was working in me until Master Chef again was the way the Lord had me go to be a chef. It was not how everybody, know's path. But for me, I also need to be comfortable in front of a camera.
Right.
And so he utilized about 2 or 3 years of me being in college to get me more confident
yeah.
in speaking in front of people.
That's so cool.
So it's you would think just, oh, well, he should have been utilizing you in the kitchen. But then his picture included something bigger than I even could have imagined.
Yes.
So he was working in me and giving me skills, and the confidence part as well. I told the Lord, I was like, okay, I was excited about this opportunity, but I was like, okay, Lord, I want to use this for you. You've given me this opportunity to have this platform to be on this show, and I want to be a shining light for you. And he did that. And it wasn't me. And I always tell people, through different episodes, how well I performed. I was like, y'all, I was praying over every single dish. I was like, that was not me. And
I bet it was stressful at times. Yes.
It was so stressful.
Yes.
The most stressful was the finale. And most people always ask me this question. They'd always ask me, how's Gordon Ramsay in person?
Yes.
Is he really like that? And then they'd also say, how did you cook that piece of chicken in 7 minutes? Because in the finale, I dropped my piece of chicken, and it was in the last 10 minutes of the show. I had a spatula and I, scooped it out of the pan, and I put it intentionally. I was putting it on the plate, and it fell on the floor. So everybody just mouths, drop, and they're just like, what is she going to do? Immediately I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, okay, you've got me this far. Are you going to really have me fail? And it could have really gone either way. I could have just stopped, but also being that I'm a competitive nature, and I thought I can't forfeit. There has to be a way. I'm going to at least try. I'm going to ask for prayer because, Lord, you're going to have to cook this piece of chicken because there's no way. And he cooked it in 7 minutes. And I presented it on the plate, and, I made another
cooked.
piece. And I was praying over it the whole time. Gordon Ramsay went to cut into it, and he's like, I'm going to cut in the thickest part. And I'm like, well, of course you will.
Yeah.
Of course you will. And so he cuts in the thickest part, and I'm just like, oh, yes, it's cooked, it's cooked, it's cooked. And he opens it up, and he's like, perfectly. And I mean, I don't know if I cried, but I could almost still cry about
I
it
would have
because
cried.
The
I'm
miracle
crying for
chicken.
you.
it was just only God.
Yes.
And he utilized that opportunity, because at the time I could have thought this was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. but he made that happen so that afterwards, that was the number one question people asked. And I could say, well, it was a miracle chicken because there's no way I cooked that. There's no way anyone could really cook a piece of chicken that thick in 7 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Was it intimidating for you to be so young on the show and like you're saying you wanted to be your God to use you? Was that was it hard for you in a Hollywood setting to do that? Or
so being that everyone around me, like that was competing on the show, was older, I don't even know that I prayed necessarily for like the confidence that he gave me, but he gave me this confidence in my cooking set. Now, I grew so much in my faith during that time because when you go onto a reality show, they just separate you from everybody.
Yeah.
So all I had was the Lord. And I remember every time I would go back to my hotel room, I would just be in the Word and just like soak it in. Like I needed him to get me through because I was like, I personally felt like I couldn't make it, another day. But he gave me everything I needed. And I remember just like leaning on scripture about like comfort and peace and strength. And he gave me everything I needed for every challenge, that I faced.
Yeah. And I want to go back to where you're talking about, like, in those development seasons, I feel like people don't recognize that in the moment. They feel like they're stuck somewhere. And I feel like he's developing you, like you were saying about learning to speak, during your, speaking time in college. And I feel like those development stages are so important. And sometimes we do feel like we're just stuck, but he's really developing us in those moments, in those seasons, our seasons in our life are so important. And I love that you're talking about how he develops you. And sometimes they're like quick moments, but sometimes they're longer stretches of it too. And I think it's just I like that you brought that up because I think it's just a reminder that even if you're feeling stuck in a season, it's maybe he's developing you or he's wanting you to draw closer to him. There's a reason for that season, and just to get closer to him in that season and grow. And so
I think in our trials, that's when we lean into him the most. When everything's perfect, we don't feel we need him as much, which is sad. We should be leaning on him at all times. But I know that with the trials, he says, cast your cares on me because I care for you. He wants us to come to him in those moments of fear and anxiety. And you could have gone through that experience in such a different way had you not been pressing into him like that. So you did. That's the reward. The blessing came because you were being obedient. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
I think that the obedience part, and we talked a little bit with a guest last week about that obedience part and listening. And once we get out of our own way and let him do it, he's got such a better plan for us. I mean, his plans for us are great, and we really can block those by not letting him run it for us. I saw a quote the other day. It was something like God, I give up. And he's like, good, finally I can do my job now. Like, get out of my way. Like now I can work. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So it's like just letting him, just having that. And I just, I hope more people find those opportunities, and just realize that he's there he's got something better for us. And it's so hard in the moment because you just feel like it's all falling apart and it's a mess, but he only wants good for us. His plans for our life are good, not bad, and I just love hearing stories because I know for Grace in my own life, I feel like he's constantly shown me grace, just all these opportunities that just shouldn't be there. And so I love being able to do this. So we can hear stories about, your situation where you also see God's grace, because sometimes I just feel like people don't recognize it enough. And it's like he's doing so much more than
Working behind the scenes.
Yeah. And changing lives. And I think, more people just got out of the way. He's got really great things in store, like for you. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, think about, had you not listened to your heart and just, even though you love cooking, but it was just something you did on the weekend, you never went to, you would never be where you're at. And I don't think anything's by accident. I think it's all divine. And I think he leads us there. And I'm sure you probably feel that too with your own life. And I mean, can you imagine your life different? I mean, can you imagine it not being this, right? Had you not listened?
I know. And it's just a beautiful story. And he continues to work on me. And anytime, just I would say too, like, just because he does open a door. Like, if it was just that, like, MasterChef, oh, how beautiful. But I was like, along the way, there were so many closed doors of other opportunities and goals, and dreams after MasterChef. And I would just continue to just pray about those and also lean in and know, like, well, Lord, I've seen you open a door and how, like, what happened. But also I should know that, like, if a door closes, like, I was looking for a storefront 2.5 years ago, and it was, like, to me, the beautiful place and, like, the dream, and he closed the door. And I just was like, gosh, Lord, like, I allowed myself to do, like, dream about it and just get so excited about it, and the door closed. And then, like, the disappointment and, like, is this ever going to happen? And it was for a reason. And when a door opened, it literally was when I least expected it. I had just had a baby, my third child, and he opened the opportunity for me to get a storefront, and it happened so quickly. It was in the perfect season for selling cookies. It was when people want cookies. It was in the fall.
Yes.
And so it was just like the sweetest little space that I could have never pictured. I had my own thoughts and plans and goals, and then the Lord just rewrote another story, but it ended up being so much better. Even just everything, like financially, it was a smarter decision, all the things that, like, if you try to do things yourself, I've learned this the hard way.
Yeah.
But no, like, just give it to the Lord and know that if there's a door that closes, that just be still moving forward. Like, don't get in just such a slump that you won't even move forward. I feel like sometimes people do that. Like, they just, like, bury in a hole, and they're just like, oh, well, like, nothing good, can come from this. Just know, like, there is. And I love just looking back and seeing God, and just the story that he writes in my life, but also just, like, sharing my experience will hopefully help somebody else know that if you're in a certain season, or if you're in a certain place, or a door is closed, or a door is just open, like, he's constantly working. So just be close to him, so that you can hear him and you can feel the Holy Spirit speaking to you, so that like, the next step to take.
Yeah, the be still part is really important too, because I think we get so busy, and so we think we're being productive. We're spinning our wheels so fast, but sometimes you just need to slow down a little bit and listen. And if there's so much noise around you, you can't hear him. And you can't hear where you're supposed to go, and you get debilitated. I think a lot of people just get in their own way, and because they're trying so hard to control the situation, it's counterproductive to what they're trying to do. I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
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 It's really hard to let go and let God.
Yeah.
I think we all are control freaks to a certain extent. Like, when I became a mother, I was like, I thought I was the most chilled, relaxed person. And then I became a mother. I was like, I am so controlled. I, like, want to put them in a cotton wool and tell them everything. And then now I have teenagers. God's like, oh no, you don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like he has a sense of humor. God has a sense of humor sometimes. Like,
well, he has to with what he witnesses down here all the time.
Goodness, I know, poor thing.
No, I think it's amazing. I love the stories of the journeys, and and I mean, tell us about what's next for you. I mean, I know you talking about another storefront, but what's your bigger picture? What do you and God got planned? What do you think?
So with knowing that, like, cooking and spreading joy, making people happy through my food has always been something, and also creating food memories. So with my cookies, I've been able to do that because we ship nationwide, and so people can gift cookies to anyone, and during any season. I've seen that through, like, someone passing away, and they want to, spread joy through that, like, give them something to comfort them during that time, or like a celebration of something, and they send cookies. And also on the box, we literally put about what our message is: serving up joy, one cookie at a time, and using 1 Peter 4:10, which is using whatever gift you've been given to serve others.
Oh,
and
that's
so
beautiful.
being able to do that and being a place where someone now physically can walk into my store and we can be hospitable. We can do more than just serve them cookies. So
You're a face. You're a face now.
yes.
Yes.
So
yes.
being able to do that in Nashville is our next step. So we're in downtown Franklin now, and we're hoping for a Nashville location. But to me, I always say, like, Lord, if you're able, or not able, Lord, if you so see it, that if you open an opportunity, like, He's given me a confidence to be in front of a camera and kind of a love for something that, again, looking back, like, I would have never been able to do. But having a cooking show or doing something like that, like where I can do something that He's given me a newfound love for, is something that I've always had an excitement for. So, yeah, that's just kind of in the
back burner.
Back burner.
I know. I'm like equating you to who's this? Candace. I'm thinking of her name. Sprinkles.
Oh, yes.
You know who she is.
The owners of Sprinkles.
Yes, I was just thinking about that and a similar story of loving to make sweet treats for people, and then it becoming this empire. And I really believe, like, if you are in line with what he's planned, you so have such faith. It's so beautiful, and He's going to bless you and guide you exactly where you need to be. And we get to be the recipient of the heaven on earth cookie.
And that's today we get to do that. I'm going to have 2 just to make sure that they're, maybe 3, so I can vouch for you. I'll write a great review after.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You're such a beautiful person.
Thank you.
So much more than we expected to even hear, and it's just so encouraging to me just to hear your story. It's beautiful.
Just have other women out there inspiring other women, but also being faith driven, and praising God along the way and thanking Him and
grateful.
And just and putting your faith. I think that's one thing people just have to really remember. And being a faith-driven person, I still lose sight of that. I think if I actually heard half the things the Lord said to me, my life would be in a whole different place. You know what I mean? Because I think, I'm in tune, but not really, because we get so distracted. It's so easy, especially you as a mom and with little ones and businesses, and it's hard.
You're doing so much.
And then we have to get in
and
tune
look at this
too.
joyful smile.
I know.
She doesn't even look tired.
I know, exactly. I know. We saw you come in with that baby, so that baby alone would exhaust me at this age anyway. But mine are older now.
She's got 2 others as well.
My husband and I, we say, like, we always knew we wanted 3, but again, like, if it was our timing, it would have looked totally different.
Yeah.
But the Lord knew we needed her because we have a lot going on, and anytime we just see her face, she is just such a joy. For us.
Yeah.
So He's given us Mackenzie for this time for a reason.
Yeah. And babies have a way of slowing you down too, and making you realize, like, you see God in a child.
Yeah.
Like nothing else,
Yeah.
So it's good.
No,
good
it's
reminder.
true. Yeah. When the baby cries, you got to stop. You basically got to stop. Like they do force you to kind of, but I know seeing your baby, I remember she used to lay on my chest. They were so tiny, and now they're adults. But yeah, that was sweet when they were that little.
Time.
So it's like cherishing them. Yeah. When that little. So good. Well, tell us your website so we know where people can find and order, and give us your social media.
Whitney'sCookies.co, and we're on Instagram and Facebook under Whitney's Cookies. And look at all of the content that we share. I come up with 2 new flavors each month, so it's always like you can look forward to something new. The lemon cookie you had mentioned was so good.
That is literally heaven.
I think twice a week.
Coming up.
Yeah, we need to now be your tester for those these 2 new flavors. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a great
suggestion. I think so. We won't even charge you. We'll do it for free. We'll just come in. Yeah.
my that's my new thing.
Yeah.
God, please make me a cookie tester without the calories.
Yeah. Without the calories. Oh yeah, your cookies don't have calories, right?
No, of course not.
I didn't see that on the box. I didn't see a calorie mark on the box, so I guess not. Yeah.
And I do eat them. I love cookies.
Well, you're so tiny. You don't look like you eat them, but we believe you.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. I love, and I feel encouraged just even to be around other women and just like hear your conversation in with my story and how things have related to you that I've said. I think it's just so beautiful to have community. And sometimes it's hard because even I say that, and it's something that I'm still working on because I am busy and I'm a mom and I have a business. But knowing that like that's something that I need to.
Yes, we all do. It's important.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, thank y'all for inviting me to share.
You're amazing.
You're
All
amazing.
right. God bless you. And again, this was great. I feel like the Spirit is with us all the time. I feel like when we do these, I just feel like it's, just putting the positive out there. I think the
Learning
world needs more of
something
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Grace and hope.
Yep. Exactly.
Bye.
All right. We'll see you next week.